Alright folks, welcome back. Here we go with round 7. And, well, pretty crazy stuff has been happening. We're going to take a look at what happened to the U.S. Pacific Fleet. Yeah, it is no more. The Japanese came down. They had 4 destroyers, 2 cruisers, and 4 bombers. And they wiped out the fleet in its entirety, save 2 transports, because on the last round, the transports took 2 shots and shot down one of the bombers. So, as the Japanese player likely would have decided, we're getting out of here. Because really, there's no units for them to transport anyway. So, not really a big threat at this time. Didn't feel like losing another bomber or 2, as the dice are the dice. The Japanese fleet is up here, and it is large and in charge. We're going to take a look right here. So we got a couple of battleships and a naked carrier, and then here we got another fleet carrier and a couple of escort carriers. Caroline Islands continue to pump out a single infantry, as do the Philippines. In China, the Japanese are feeling a little bit more vigorous these days. But the Soviets have decided to come in and try to just nip away at the economy. And here we have the Japanese did a landing here. Only lost 2 men and were able to dispatch 5 Soviet infantry divisions plus 1 tank. The communist Chinese are no more. They have $2 in the bank, but as well as communist banks run, there you go. They got nothing left. So they'll hang on to their money, and if they ever do have the Soviets liberate them, they might be able to renew and have some fun. The KMT has had to spread out a little bit here just to hopefully make the Japanese pay for any gains that they would like in mainland China. No freebies from this moment on. Down here, and just so you know, the KMT are allowed to go into Burma and are allowed to go into FEC areas here and French Indochina. Right, they're allowed to head into all these places here once they're at war. So they can do that, but likely they'll see their economy dwindle. And the Japanese continue to pump out things. I built another factory in Korea, so now they can pump out 12 items on the continent, including Siam, and plus 1 infantry. So really 13 items they can put onto the continent. Now that there's no U.S. fleet to speak of, that should be a lot of fun. Anzac has a diminutive fleet down here, very small, and just a couple of transports we built. And we do have this as well, that the Anzac are going to be able to have some fun with under the cover of a couple of scrambles. Now, something I just saw, which I'm going to now point out because it's kind of gameplay important. I don't think I would do this as the Japanese player, but they have the air base here in the Carolines. So 1, 2, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They could actually then land in Fiji because Fiji is a Vichy territory. So I could come over here, possibly kill these 2 transports, and land in Fiji. Might be a play because then the Anzac are back to having just this 1 transport way over here, and it's likely, not 100%, but it's likely that these planes are going to come down here and take care of them and land in Sumatra. Because really, why not? Now, the one thing that might stop them, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, is you got 100 bajillion angry Burmese coming at you. So that might slow them down on any sort of vindictive run at the Anzac. Now, the thing with the Anzac, though, having this transport down here is they could come up and liberate Singapore next turn, which in and of itself isn't a big deal, but it does get FEC an extra $5, and to say nothing of the extra 2. So that'd be a 7-point play using 1 infantry, but likely losing. So lots and lots of ifs, ands, and buts. Again, built a couple fast movers and towing some artillery and 3 infantry. So FEC and Anzac are doing pretty well financially. Not flush with cash, FEC, but Anzac's doing pretty well. Anzac's hauling in 23 around right now. But Japan's just not in a position to do anything about that. I had to bring their transports back home. I couldn't leave them out here. It was just would have been silly waste of resources. Okay, on to Africa. And look at this. Yes, it is a South African fighter. Look at that. That's a thing of beauty. It's going to head up here and cause some problems. But up here, we've got quite the logjam. Once again, too strong to be attacked and too weak to attack. So, real mess happening here. Now, this is playing into Britain's hand because Britain doesn't need to go anywhere right now. They can kind of wait. Now, the Italians, knowing that, decided to branch out and pick up some of the Allied territories here. A couple of guys in Syria, Cyprus, and Crete. So they were able to go up a little bit of money. And they also came over here and killed the last French Foreign Legion, who gave up without a fight. They did not do well this game. Sometimes they're just incredibly tough, but not so much this game. So this is where we are. The Italians, I bit the bullet and built an air base because the British bit the bullet and built an air base. And you do want to have some sort of parity here in the amount of movement you have. The British just don't have the planes. They've just got the one tactical here because they've had to keep their planes at home for scramble purposes. But now with South Africa pitching in, and South Africa could build another one next turn because they had 12, only spent 10, so they could build another one next turn, and I just might. Over here, the Americans have landed. Not exactly Operation Torch, because we're a little southwest of where Torch landed. But some decent stuff here. We have 18 units, including 6 tanks and 4 Marines. So they could cause some problems. Now, their boats are they got their cheese out in the wind here. They're not really sitting anywhere. They don't have a port, and they can only then move 2. So they could move 1, 2 into here, bring all their stuff and plant it here, drop it into northern Algeria, and then really threaten Rome, because that is a lot of stuff. I'm really debating whether or not to do that, because they don't have a lot of firepower in the water, right? All they've got is this one at a destroyer. Okay, so if they lose all these transports, that's really annoying. So I've got to kind of keep them safe. Well, how am I going to do that? Well, because Uncle Joe is going to bring his fleet down. It's going to take a couple turns to get here, which will buy the Italians some time. And the Italians collected 30 this round, 35 actually. So they'll be able to start to put up a bit of a defense. But as you can see, they have spent the lion's share of their money rebuilding their navy, their air force, and stuff here in Africa. So possibly throwing good money after bad, but we're going to just keep playing that game. Over here, the Germans continue to bulk up the Atlantic Wall, but it's all infantry, so not a lot of pushback if the Allies decide to land. And the Allies are going to decide to land. Built a few more transports. So now, in the English Channel, we have 7 British transports and 2 Canadian transports. So they can bring over 18 items. The Americans here, if they station in Gibraltar on the next turn, could also come up and land another 18. So that could be 36 units on the doorstep here. Some of them would obviously die, at least one, because of the Czech Hedgehog. But the Germans would have ample time to get some resources together. Now, I knew that. I'm going in. And so what I've done is I've built another 12 units. They're going to be coming in. And they can come directly across and land in Bordeaux. But, again, don't want to throw away 6 transports. We've got to make sure that we can protect them. Now the Eastern Front. This is quite the interesting chess match I've got going on here, because Oral Kursk I vacated of everything except infantry units and 1 AA gun. And if Germany attacks that, it's likely they'll lose, I'd say, at least 10 units. At least. Now, can they afford to, in the first wave, lose 10? Yeah, it looks like they can. But the Soviets here have a nice counter. They've got some air power up in Leningrad, and they've got plenty of things here to come down and cause some grief. So with the Allies threatening here on the Western Front, and the Soviets, well, seemingly able to put up quite the fight, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Now the Germans could go around Oral-Kursk, right? Just go into Kharkov and send all these guys here up into Western Russia, and you'd have some pretty big stacks right on the doorstep of Moscow. But then, of course, we've got a big stack here and a little stack there, 7 or 8 there. Can all go back into Moscow with its fortification, which makes all the infantry defend better. And when you attack fortifications, of course, all your stuff is down one. All the good guys, the defenders, are up one. So that's it's always a tough nut to crack when you run into those fortifications. I highly recommend that you build them in key areas because they can really punish the attacker unless the attacker comes with overwhelming force. So that's where we are. That's all I've got time for today, unfortunately. We're back to work this week, but I'm glad I think I got 3 rounds in this weekend. So that's round 6. Hopefully you enjoyed. And not exactly sure where this game's going to go, but we are loving it, and we're having a great time. Oh, the one thing I was going to point out is I did build some subs here with the Americans, because the Japanese, they do have 5 transports plus those 2 there. So I could bring those 2 down, and I can build enough units to load up the transports to go 1, 2, 3, and land with a massive force in the Pacific Northwest. 14 units. Kaboom. I love this game. I love this game. So much fun. We'll see if Japan wants to do something like that, or are they going to take care of these pesky Soviets? Time will tell. Tune in the next time I can get a video up for you. Hopefully this Saturday I should be able to. But until then, hug your loved ones. Thank your friends for playing. And as always, may those dice be with you.